Welcome to the Knockback, your seat. Mark's got the feedback, quick on his feet. Got your hard knock lessons in the mix. Brace yourself, his burns are slick.
Look, I know change can be scary. 1 minute, you're playing freeze tag out there at recess. Next thing you know, you're getting zits, your voice gets low, and every time your art teacher, Miss Scanlon, leans over your desk, you feel all squiggly inside. She was a striking woman. Not classically beautiful, but striking.
Okay, folks, it's time for your favorite segment where we take fictional chaos, run it through a real-world lens, and see what leadership lessons rise from the ashes. This is the Knockback. This week, Maleficent versus King Stefan, a tale of curses, betrayal, and a whole lot of project management. Let's break it down. Did King Stefan fail at stakeholder management by ignoring Maleficent after their childhood bond? Well, hell yes, he did. Look, if you're trying to build a kingdom or run a successful remodel and you ghost a former ally turned power player, dude, you failed magnificently at stakeholder management. Lesson 4 from the Hard Knock School of Project Management says it loud and clear. Most of your time is spent managing people, not tasks. Stefan didn't just drop the ball. He spiked it into a pit of dragon fire. You can't manage your kingdom if you're not managing your relationships. King Stefan ghosted a major influencer in his kingdom's ecosystem. That's not just personal betrayal. That's a stakeholder management fail that came back with wings and fire. The hashtag Hard Knock lesson, if you don't manage your stakeholders, they'll manage you, usually with pitchforks.
Pitchforks? Humans are hilarious.
Number 2, was Maleficent's curse a catastrophic escalation caused by poor conflict resolution? Absolutely. That curse was the medieval version of rage quitting a group chat permanently. This was a textbook example of what happens when people don't feel heard. Stefan didn't just burn a bridge, he lit it with her wings. You violate trust like that, and you're not just inviting retaliation, you're project managing your own fail. This ties into lesson 2. You'll rarely have all the answers. Instead of communicating or course correcting, Stefan doubled down on ego. That's not leadership, that's emotional landmines. As a result, Maleficent didn't just cross a boundary, she turned the whole christening into a TED Talk of vengeance. Had Stefan handled things like a leader instead of a ladder-climbing coward, he might have had peace. Instead, well, worst baby shower ever. The hashtag Hard Knock lesson, unaddressed conflict always comes back with interest.
Oh dear, what an awkward situation.
Could King Stefan's obsession with delivering results, in this instance defeating Maleficent, be seen as scope creep disguised as legacy building? Yep. Look, that man took one deliverable, protect the kingdom, and inflated it into a personal vendetta. Classic scope creep. Started with defense, ended with war, sleepless paranoia, and hammering iron in the middle of the night like a madman. On this one, we can go back to lesson 7. The best plans will still fall apart, especially when those plans are built on revenge, not results. Stefan lost his project because he lost sight of the why behind the what. He started with protect the kingdom and wound up in a bunker forging anti-fairy weapons. That's not strategy. That's emotional overcommitment. The hashtag Hard Knock lesson, scope creep doesn't always look like chaos. Sometimes it wears a crown, calls itself legacy.
But Scott, who's going to take over the world when I die?
Listen to the words he used. Who's going to take over the world when I die? Feels like that to some of us sometimes, doesn't it?
Number 4, did Maleficent become a better leader after dropping the ball and letting others like Diaval take ownership? This one, big yes. Once she stopped micromanaging and empowered her team, shout out to Diaval, the MVP shapeshifter and ride or die, she became a more balanced leader. This is straight out of Drop the Ball and reinforced in lesson 6. You're a translator for everyone and everything. When she let Diaval take initiative, she started delegating, not dictating. That's the difference between a tyrant and a team builder. When she stopped treating Diaval like a tool and started treating him like a team member, everything shifted. Delegation equals power. The hashtag Hard Knock lesson, leadership happens when you stop hoarding control and start trusting your crew.
Oh, come on, that's funny.
Number 5, was King Stefan's downfall a classic example of emotional leadership failure where fear and ego replaced logic and communication? Yeah, I mean, they say heavy is the head that wears the crown. But for King Stefan, his crown didn't weigh heavy, his ego did. Stefan never recovered from the fear that Maleficent would come back stronger. He led from a place of paranoia, not principle. When you lead from fear, your whole team starts watching the exit door. We learned this lesson last week when we were talking about Dr. Evil. And this is why lesson number 3, sometimes you're the bad guy, hits so hard. Because being the bad guy doesn't mean you feel bad. It means you make the tough calls with clear eyes. Stefan never did. He led from fear, isolated himself. Paranoia took the wheel, and pride locked the doors. That's a leadership death spiral. The hashtag hard knock lesson, fear-led leadership always ends in failure, and usually in flames. So what do we learn from all of this? Well, that even in fairy tales, the real villains aren't always the ones with horns. Sometimes they're the ones who refuse to listen, refuse to delegate, and build entire legacies on fear instead of trust. Don't be Stefan. Build your kingdom. Don't burn it. Because at the end of the day, your project doesn't need a hero. It needs a human with backbone, empathy, and a halfway decent communication plan.
There's nothing more pathetic than an aging hipster.
I'm Mark Caples, and this has been The Knockback, only on the Hard Knock University podcast.